am so ready for this as we have some people back on the ice, including Kirby Dach, making his second appearance of the summer at Brussels, looking nice and mobile, nice and healthy, but it wasn't just him. We had some other new faces, including Noah Dobson, working a lot with Lane Hutson and some very intriguing drills they're running, maybe hinting at something bigger coming in the future. We have to dive into the guys at practice, what was going on there, plus one name continues to circulate in the media sphere linked to the Montreal Canadiens, and that is a certain former 40 goal scorer out of Seattle and Jared McCann. We got to dive into the new stuff coming out about that, plus some interesting topics we want to share with you guys about some of the most underrated Montreal Canadiens and a couple of guys that could very well be making their NHL debut, but there's going to be a bit of a battle for that. A bunch of great stuff coming up on this live episode of Habs Digest. The chat is bumping already. We got Noxious, we got Tyson, WL, Dan, F. Trump. Guys are here every single week. Kindly Miguel, Jesse, I'm so excited. We got Doc back. We got more trade talks. We got some fun things that we're going to get into with the chat today. I'm excited to get into this one.
Oh, absolutely. Make yourself cozy. If this is your first time here at Habs Digest for a live, you're very welcome. If you're a seasoned guest, welcome back once again. We want you to enjoy today's episode. Obviously, so much going down. I think, Josh, the Habs are the team that's really practicing the most this offseason. We're getting that advantage. I think, ahead of the season, ready to go. Some people are saying maybe we're going to get a little bit tired with all the guys going. I think we got a young team, the youngest team in the NHL. They're ready to go. They're ready to practice. So obviously we're looking forward to seeing, some guys like Dobson, some of the first times out on the ice, some new looks coming out in Brassard here, which we're loving and, looking forward to breaking it all down here today.
For sure. We saw Zach Bolduc a couple of days ago. Suzuki's there. Oh, it's so exciting. Such an exciting time to be a Habs fan. But yeah, we're going to get into this. We got Brian Lalonde, one of our long-term and Rocket Richard term members. Brian, great to see you. I feel like it's been a little while since we've seen you in the live stream. Great to have you there. And shout out to Noxious there, whose birthday was yesterday. Thank you for being here, Noxious. Sending that in chat. We've been great. Hope you're doing great. Let's start, Jesse, with something a bit fun. And this is something, again, we want to hear some of your guys' thoughts on as well. But there was an article. This is linked down below. All the articles we refer to today are linked down below. Please go check them out. But this is from William Bourget from the Hockey Writers. And it's about 3 Habs prospects who can make their NHL debut. Now, there's some good insight on the prospects there. We're not going to dive into that. You want to see that? Go check out their article. We're just going to talk through a few of the names present there, Jesse. And we're going to probably have a poll here and maybe see what the fans think as well. But the first guy, and I think the most likely guy to make their NHL debut this year, some analysts might disagree, but I think it's David Reinbacher. Look, I mean, not that we have a ton to say on why this is the case, but there's other guys who still haven't made that jump to the NHL that we're going to get into, but it's very obvious, Jesse, the former number 5 overall pick on a team that can always use some extra right-hand shot defensemen. It just feels like that position is lined up to give to Reinbacher, at least at some point throughout this year. I have to imagine if there's an injury, especially to someone like a Dobson or Carrier, there's no other choice but to bring this guy up.
Absolutely. And I am so excited to see him this year and what he can really bring to this Montreal Canadiens team. We don't want to say that we forgot about David Reinbacher, Josh, but it was a situation where we just have so many great prospects. Mm-hmm. And then he was just injured for a little bit. He kind of flew under the radar. And then all these great prospects we had was just kind of taking center stage. And here, David Reinbacher just entering the chat once again and just getting us so excited of the player that we actually have in here. I think we've a little bit forgotten of how good he is, how he can impact this team, and how really he's still that perfect guy on our decor. Because we're going to get into some other guys. And by the way, all 3 guys that we're speaking about today, I think they're all going to play with the Montreal Canadiens this very year. That's how good I think our prospects are. I think they're ready to take the next step. But it's the size with David Reinbacher, the difference. We got some good defensive prospects. Some of you in the chat might know who we're referring to. Let us know in the chat who you think I'm maybe referring to right now.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the size from Reinbacher at 6'3" that really makes the difference, especially for a guy like Lane Hutson. I could argue, Josh, that David Reinbacher is not just going to affect himself. He's going to allow Lane Hutson to really do what he does best. Adding just a little bit of size, whether he's on the same pairing or not, just by proximity, that size is just something we need a little bit more in that decor in the top 4. We know Dobson's got it as well, but I just think it allows guys like Hutson, Carrier, who will probably figure prominently, just to really shine all the more, which has just got me really excited about this player, Josh. David Reinbacher, I think is just going to surprise all of us with how good he is. He's going to be the talk of the season, is how we're calling it right now, just how good he is going to be, both in the AHL and when he gets his chance in the NHL as well.
Yeah, for sure. And like it's something we've said before, the dude has 6 goals in 34 career AHL games, which is pretty good. Like that offensive upside's there, and he's been playing a bit with Montembeault in practice. They're becoming buddies, it seems. Like there's a lot of other X factors too. Like, you know, chemistry with teammates is a big thing. And David Reinbacher, not only is he smooth, solid offensively, solid defensively, big body, he seems to be a nice guy that gets along with everyone. So that's important as well. But he is a very interesting name. But before we get on to some of these other ones, we got to shout out some of the people in the chat, channel members. Is Simone Desjardins. This is a big one. Simone is officially now a member for a full year. Can't wait for the season. Go Habs. Guys, leave some love for Simone, one of our largest supporters. At one point, a Hall of Fame tier member. We plan this summer before the season starts to get our former Hall of Fame tier members into videos. We're so excited about that, Simone, so stick around. Shout out to Simone, everyone, for 1 year of channel membership. Unbelievable. But it's not just Simone, it's Martin Kintler as well. Martin, welcome to the hat trick tier of our membership. Again, if you're a hat trick tier, we're opening our fantasy hockey in the month of September. So if you're a hat trick tier member, you're going to get an invite to that. Jesse, so good to see people sticking around for so long. Martin says, hey there, Josh and Jesse. Finally caught you live. Hello from Slovakia. Ahoy, Martin. Martin, maybe? Been here since Slaf was drafted, but usually at work. So cool to see people sticking around and the new faces back to back, Jesse. It's so awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Definitely, as this team is growing, and you know that we're bringing the slap hype, Martin, right now, because we know what a year he's going to have coming up. Obviously, we're just so thankful to have so many amazing fans from Slovakia, from all around the world. We are truly humbled by just all the support that we get. Appreciate you guys so much, and really the support for not only the team, but for the channel as well.
Absolutely. And hey, why not one more channel membership coming in from Tyson? I think it's Leggy. I should probably know that, but regardless, Tyson, thank you so much. And another one, Kindley Miguel. Wow, that's kind of actually interesting. We got Martin Kintler and Kindley Miguel. It's like two kind of similar backwards. Not really. What am I saying? It doesn't matter. A bunch of new people joining the channel membership. Hey, you know what, Jesse? We don't show this off enough, but maybe we should send this again. All channel members, send your emotes in the chat. This is one of the big perks you get. We'll read your messages in priority in chat, and also you get to use these fun emojis and see our occasional members only post shows. Jesse, like, hey, we should maybe promote that more. The post shows are a ton of fun when we do post some little couple minute conversations. Our channel members know emojis. Thank you to everyone. This stream is starting off hot right now.
It is. You know what? And we're feeling the excitement, because it's so funny, Josh, how it goes like from being the dog days of summer to feeling like, okay, like the season's right on the cusp of beginning. Like we are getting there so close. And it feels like the team is feeling the same way, the way that they just can't get enough of Mesar wanting to practice all the time. They're like, when is the season going to get here already? And you know what? They got a good reason to be excited. They know the team that they have, their new teammates that they're going to have. But we're excited here on the channel because we know all the good times are really coming, right? And we're gearing up. We're getting ready, Josh, because like, can we just say that this is going to be the best year of Habs hockey coming up that we've seen like in a long time?
Oh, yeah.
Like it might kind of equal kind of like prime Carey Price, like if not even better. I'm saying like that's how good I think that this team is really going to be and what they're going to have for it. What do you think about that, Josh? Do you think like it could be even better than Carey Price? Like how like this year, like if you could compare it to a year precedent, like what's it going to be?
Yeah, I mean, obviously 2021 was interesting because making that cup final was amazing, but the regular season, we weren't actually that good. Like, I don't think anyone expected us to make that run. That was the most thrill I think I had ever experienced. But in terms of like expectations, like those mid 2010s teams, again, 2014 is such a heartbreaking year, but like, that's when I felt maybe the most confident in this team, like before, like right now, like this upcoming stretch of Habs hockey, I can pretty much confidently say that you're absolutely right. Since prime Carey Price, I have never been this confident for the next few years of the Montreal Canadiens. Any given season, you can say, yeah, I think we're good. But like looking at like what we have, is like, okay, at least we have Price, and we're gonna build. We get some pieces. We got Pacioretty, we got Subban, whatever, Markov. Like at that time, but now looking at the future, we're not talking like 2 years down the line here because we have this one player who can elevate us. We have like 3, 4, 5 guys that can elevate, like Demidov, Suzuki, Caufield, Slafkovsky, Dobson, Hudson. These guys are all able to kind of step up on any given night. So yeah, I mean, you're absolutely bang on. I don't think I felt more confident in this team in a long, long time.
Absolutely. No, I love it. That's what's exciting. We know it's for many years to come, coming forward, right? And you have to feel like it's not only that, but it's the fact that like lots of star players are going to want to start coming, being a part of what they have, wanting to be a part of Prime Hudson, Demidov, obviously so many other guys that are coming into their own right now. And that's what really makes it exciting as well, as Montreal becomes more of a destination. They don't even need to rely just on all their draft and development. That could really be the next wave.
Absolutely, 100%. Super excited as we have a gifted channel membership from Kinley Miguel, one of our new members as well. Kinley Miguel feels it. See those emojis? They've gifted one membership. And you know what? It's funny. We got the membership going to Real Milton Bradley, a long time stream supporter. I feel like it's been a little while, Real Milton Bradley. Maybe just didn't catch your messages recently, but someone who has been here so long. So fitting you got that membership. Thank you so much for gifting it, Kinley. Oh my gosh, this is starting off hot. Can't wait. The feeling of this upcoming season of Habs hockey is palpable. We're so excited to share this with you guys as well, but we're going to move on. And Jesse, when we're talking about defensive prospects, I have a funny feeling you might have been referring to this man. He is one of these guys that is still hasn't made his NHL debut, and that's Adam Engstrom. And right now, like, there's also other guys. Let me just say, like, guys like Owen Beck, it kind of feels at times like he hasn't made his debut, but he has. So he's not really eligible for this list necessarily. But a guy like Adam Engstrom is, you have some people even saying that there's a world where Adam Engstrom takes that kind of leap over Reinbacher just because of the experience that he has and the fact he can play on the right side. I'm not someone that necessarily believes that, because I think Adam Engstrom is awesome, and he has looked great in Laval. I still think Reinbacher is going to be better, especially this year as he's improving, so is Engstrom. But that's the thing. The fact that that's even a conversation is pretty crazy. And, if we're just talking, like, this is not a mutually exclusive club. Both these guys could get their debuts this year. And again, depending on the situation, I can absolutely see either of these two defensemen making that jump if there's some kind of injury or trade.
Absolutely. And it's funny how it's not just us, Josh, but like so many fans of the Montreal Canadiens media really believe in Adam Engstrom and what he can really do. Again, at the NHL level, it's funny, like when a prospect where it's like, if he was just to be put onto the roster tomorrow night, right? I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but it's like, I would not be worried at all. Like, I know that he'd play some good hockey. Like, he's going to skate. He makes good decisions here going forward. A prospect I really like, Josh, but I think a prospect that's probably worth it to say that might get some interest around the league going forward, just considering how much depth that we have on defense. Because we know one of the key things that really stands out with Adam Engstrom is really like that smooth skating ability.
Yes.
That's always the first thing that kind of jumps out the page at you. But we do got some guys doing that. I'm not saying that it's a problem. I'm just saying that it's interesting to know that Hudson can skate. A lot's been said of like that he can't skate well. I tend to think he can get around the ice pretty good.
Yeah.
But that's something Dobson, as well as, even guys like, obviously we have Guhle, is really known for that, for his skating in particular.
Yeah.
So for me, Engstrom, like the fact that he's probably never going to be this overly physical guy, I think that is some overlay with some skill sets. I'm not including Matheson just because I don't feel like he's part of the decor long term. Even for right now, without Matheson part of the equation. Here, I think really interesting to note the fact that he can play both sides, I think does give him some flexibility. And by no means by saying that we need to really trade everybody on the decor right now when you just have a little bit of depth. I think that's great to have. That being said, it's interesting to just know certain overlaps of these skills here going forward. This is a player that I really like, though, and there's some players I would much rather ship out before Adam Engstrom, given what he can really offer for this team. I think he's just a really amazing prospect. And unreal to say that there's a very realistic opportunity that we can see him in the lineup for the Montreal Canadiens this very year.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there were some games in playoffs where he was Laval's best player. I was at one of them. Unfortunately, it was the game that Laval got absolutely smoked by Rochester, because that's just my luck. If the Habs have never won a game I've been at, still, that's going to change this year. I swear it's going to change this year. Hoping. But look, you're absolutely right, Jesse, and I really like that point about overlapping skill sets, right? Like, it feels like Adam Engstrom, like, look, he doesn't play the same game as Guhle, but they can fill very similar roles, and Guhle's more advanced. Matheson, I know, is like a bit weird, but like Hudson, smooth skating, offensive, and Engstrom, he is a bit more of an offensive defenseman than he is defensive. Not to say he's bad defensively, because he's not, but like, you're absolutely right. It's like, you'd almost need a guy like that to be out of the lineup for him to take that jump, I think. Or again, he could play the right side, but hey, we're saying NHL debuts, maybe it could be for a different team. The idea of moving off of one of our prospects is something that we floated a lot, and it's going to need to be done at some point. The question is who and when and for who, and hey, who knows at this point. But you're absolutely right that Engstrom is one of these guys, like, he's a bit blocked out in Montreal, just like Logan Mailloux was. And now, like, if you see a good opportunity to increase his value this year, he plays well, you could very well ship him out for something very interesting. But yeah, like, what are your thoughts on these two defensemen? We're going to get into one other guy, then we're going to start the poll. But I got to shout out Real Milton Bradley, who has paid it forward in the chat right now. Awesome to see. Thank you so much, Real Milton Bradley. They were very thankful for getting their membership, and they paid it forward to Joey Trier. Joey, if you are in the chat, send those emojis. You have been gifted a membership from Real Milton Bradley. Absolutely love this. We got some awesome chats here. We got people really appreciative. We got people saying they love Beck. We also got David saying, been here since day one. Love your guys' channel, and I can't wait for this season to start. Go Habs, go. Like the video. I mean, yeah, hey, why not? While you're here, click that like button. The chat is telling you to do it, not even us. And hey, it helps push this to other Habs fans. Yeah, this is what we're saying, Jesse. Like, the hype level for this season, I feel every single week, like, the fans can feel it. Seeing these guys getting closer and closer. These NHL debuts we're talking about are, like, really, we can say at this point, weeks away. Like, it's that close, and that's what's so awesome. But I'm loving the fact that the fans are feeling it too, man. This is getting, it's getting fun. And, like, hey, like the title said, I'm so ready for this to just finally turn that corner into September.
And again, like, these are all players like that I'm all excited to see. And it's funny how, like, on our roster, we're getting pretty stacked right now where we have, like, some really good depth. But the fact that we could still be so excited about some prospects genuinely and how they can impact this team in some huge ways, I think it's really fair to say, Josh, like, I can't even hold anymore, Josh. I think we need to get to our boy, Florian Xhekaj, who I think we have as a really good chance of getting there as well. A reason why I think there's a good chance that he could make his way onto the Montreal Canadiens roster this year. A big hole is left by Emil Heineman. Fans of the show will know all last year, I'm big on the forecheck. I find that that's an important part of the game that you need. And that's something right now with Emil Heineman out of the lineup. We know Anderson's going to provide that for sure. He's going to be on the boards doing it. But I could really see a guy like Florian Xhekaj filling that role. And again, like, just playing that type of game, the forecheck, I just find so important for that overall team success. We know we want to play a skill game. We want to play a lot of offense. We know that decor that we have, we can't get away from forechecking. We need to be playing that type of game. I think that that's totally where Florian Xhekaj can really thrive. It's possibly a reason why we're okay of getting rid of a guy like Heineman, who is serving such an important role in actually us winning hockey games. Like, the big part of the Montreal Canadiens for them winning hockey this past year, if you ask their assistant coaches, etc., really about the forecheck. So losing a guy like Heineman who brings that, it doesn't seem on the surface like it's a big loss. But if you don't find other guys to play that role, is a huge problem. And you can't just pretend you're just going to waltz in the playoffs because he did it last year. You need other guys that are really going to fill that role. But of course, we know Florian Xhekaj, he's not a one-trick pony. In fact, he's got so many skills here going for. He's a unicorn, right? He can score. He brings that physical edge to him. So, just in the same way that Arber Xhekaj managed to just build so much hype about him, here we are again, a couple years later, Florian Xhekaj doing the exact same thing. He just found a way to do it by his own hard work, not given to him at all. He got big mitts, and he went and he grabbed every bit of ice time that he really could going forward. And that's why we're genuinely excited. It's not like, oh yeah, because he's Arber's brother and I like Arber and they're going to be goons out there. It's actually because he's a good hockey player and he's really good in impact the game in the right way, that especially when you look at teams like Florida Panthers having success, Florian Xhekaj is exactly the type of prospect that I want coming into our bottom six.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like, I like the fact that you're saying, like, with Heineman gone, it does leave a void, no matter what. Like, whether it's Sammy Blais, which is another interesting name, but Florian Xhekaj just fills that bill, not only because of, that physicality, that forecheck, like you said, but also the goal scoring. Because, again, like, Florian had 24 goals. This is the thing. Make himself inevitable, right? Like you said, he was not, like, he was picked earlier than anyone thought he would get picked, so we decided to give him that shot, but it's also because we saw it in him. Like, he went from 13 to 34 goals in the OHL, which was like, whoa, okay, what's he going to do in the AHL? Oh, okay. And what did he do in the preseason last year before that? Didn't he fight someone right away? Like, there's so many different things that Florian Xhekaj mangled him, brings to this team. And yeah, again, it would be cool to see him and Arber. I'm sure they'll get preseason time together at the very least, but like, in terms of guys that fit the needs of the Montreal Canadiens, you could make the argument that Florian Xhekaj's play style and what he brings is actually maybe more missed in the current Habs lineup than what maybe an Engstrom or a Reinbacher brings, just simply because we already have 7 NHL tier defensemen who all have varying skill sets, and we're having a hard time picking between them anyway. Whereas on forward, yes, obviously we have some difficult decisions to make. Like, hey, will Joe Veleno be there? Will Kirby Dach be healthy? I feel like more of a window of opportunity for a winger to slot in. I think that's exactly. Do you see him playing, like, I assume it'd be fourth line minutes for sure, but like split him and Anderson up, Jesse. Maybe you play him with like a skill guy in Veleno or him with a defensive guy in Evans. I actually think like if Veleno's there or something, or maybe even like a new hook or something, play with Florian, like someone who can set him up for some slot shots and Florian can kind of protect the guy. I don't know. I'm already theorizing some funny lineups with him just because of it's almost unpredictable element that he brings, but something that is definitely going to scare other teams when he's on the ice.
Yeah, well, and again, I think that this is a guy that you just put him wherever, and he's kind of one of the few guys that can actually just make it work despite his line mates. He's just kind of a tornado out there on the ice because we see his production this last year. A lot of that was done from playing on the fourth line and not being on the power play. Like, this guy can produce basically under any circumstances going for here. But like, you bring up such a great point, Josh. Like, just imagine there's a world, your fourth line where it's Jake Evans, and then you got Josh Anderson, and then you got Florian Xhekaj on the other wing, like just crashing in on the boards, even like with or Gallagher and Xhekaj. Like, I'm totally okay with that too. Like, again, wouldn't that just be a beautiful thing, seeing Gallagher and then Florian Xhekaj? The ice, like Florian would just learn so much within like 2 shifts, all the ins and outs of the game. It would just be, but it would be unreal to see just 2 players that really bring that element that you love so much, that, to be honest, makes you proud to be a Montreal Canadian. Like, for many years, the way Brendan Gallagher played the game, it just made me really proud. And there was a world where, like, a couple years back, I thought, like, doesn't Brendan Gallagher, like, he has to be the captain in the future. Obviously, his health kind of going down, the emergence of Nick Suzuki, never meant to be, but we almost just forget about how important and predominant Brendan Gallagher just was to this team. There's still a reason why he plays a leadership role with us. We kind of forget about him, but here on Habs Digest, we're going to make sure we never forget about Brendan Gallagher. In fact, we need to institute a Brendan Gallagher Day here just on the channel, where the video is just all about gals, going through his story here going forward, because, that's the type of guys that just makes you really so proud of the Montreal Canadiens.
Absolutely. Hey, number 11, could pick a bunch of days. Could do one January 1st, New Year's Day, or maybe just the entire month of November. There's so many different options for Brendan Gallagher.
That's my birthday.
Yeah, there you go. Why not? Like, Brendan Gallagher is just, he's so awesome. And you're absolutely right. Can you imagine Brendan Gallagher teaching Florian Xhekaj how to be annoying in front of the net? Like, I just feel like it would be absolutely nasty. But yeah, leave your thoughts and all that down below, because right now we got a poll running. If you're in the live chat, which of these 3 guys is going to be the first to make their NHL debut this year? Will it be Reinbacher? Will it be Engstrom? Or will it be Florian? We'll see what the results of are in the poll in just a minute. But we're going to head back to the chat for a second here, because we got Kinley coming in again with a $2 donation. Thank you so much, Kinley. The support today has been unreal from you. Thank you for stopping by, tuning in. New channel member as well. This new season has me so pumped. Go Habs, go. That's that energy that everyone is sharing in the chat here today. And I want to take a look through the chat as well. We got Simone sending the Chef Hughes. We got Kinley sending all the emojis. We got Joey saying, a few minutes late. Thanks for the gift. Joey, absolutely glad you could be here to get it. Say thank you to Real Milton Bradley for sending that your way. We got a lot of people here. Our top chatter today, Mark McComb at the Prospect game last year. Tuch, Thorpe, and Florian were the most fun to watch. Hey, 3 pretty big guys, pretty physical guys. Still excited for Tyler Thorpe. We'll see what he does in Laval this year. We got Jason Patrick. Jason's been around a long time. I'd love to see a game with both Xhekaj, so will we. Martin Kintler saying, you guys make a great job of hyping all your followers. Hope for a strong start and hot finish, top 3 in the Atlantic. At least one more round in the playoffs. Yeah, we always do this, Jesse, because we hype the people in the chat, because that's what makes this possible. And again, we're chatting about the Habs here. We have our takes. We got our stuff that we present to you, but this is a conversation. And that's why we love looking at the chat, responding to what we can, because our fans is what make this right. And we even see Mark Cantal in there. Mark's been a guy who's been around a lot lately too. We remember the names. And again, like, just seeing the kind of support, seeing everyone get hyped for this season is great. And yeah, I mean, Jesse, again, I think it's even more fun when we're thinking about these big guys like Florian and Arber playing together, Thorpe and like Anderson, all these big, Luke Tuch, all of these guys coming in and maybe making an impact in, I guess, in more ways than one.
just what this team needs. Again, and not very long. You won't be able to make any complaints about size on this team going forward here. But yeah, no, like we love the chat so much. In fact, we actually have part of later on in the episode here today. We got some key questions which we really want to hear from you because we're kind of in the grind here every day, but this is kind of part of us where we want to hear about how the fans are really feeling about some things moving forward. I think it's some interesting insights because we know Kent Hughes still has a little bit of work to be done, and there's a little bit of work, there's some decisions to be made, which will have big impacts for the future and really how to go about this and to really get some things right here going forward. So, we definitely appreciate having your feedback here in the chat with us here today.
Yeah, and hey, if you're just tuning in right now, you just clicked on the stream. Hello, welcome in. And yeah, we want to hear your opinion later. If you're here in the chat, we want to make you a part of the stream. So stick around. There'll be some more polls. Speaking of that, we're going to end this one. Before we move on to a very interesting topic, we got to see what the results say because we know it's not going to add to 100%. This time it adds to 98. There was just that one magical time. Real ones, remember, the one time that the poll added up to 100%. Thank you, YouTube. 59% of people saying Reinbacher will be the first to make their NHL debut. Florian Xhekaj came in second at 37%. Adam Engstrom getting one vote at the end there, maybe 2 votes for 2%. And I think that's a pretty fair distribution. I think Reinbacher is the clear number 1 guy to get called up from in Laval at this point, depending if Kaiden is there. But regardless, he's one of our top prospects, if not the top guy. Probably is the top guy, not in the NHL right now. Fowler's up there too, obviously, but Reinbacher's ahead of him in terms of call-up. Florian fills the void a little better. Engstrom, in my mind, is still a bit behind Reinbacher, but it is really cool. Do you think you'd agree with that, Jesse? And chat, do you agree with the results of these polls?
Yeah, 100%. And again, here on the show just recently kind of reiterated my thoughts on that. There has been some people saying that Engstrom would come in first, Reinbacher for reasons previously stated. I think just out of a little bit of respect too for the prospect, everything that he's been through. Yeah. But I think just skill-wise, merit-wise, he really deserves it. But it's the one that could most complement this team in the right way going forward. I think he's just going to have a monumental impact here. We're going to be so happy that we just have this strong defense because we have this strong platform now to build the rest of our team. Like that forward core, I know there's that one critical role, but it's like we're going to get there. We're going to be so happy that we took care of this decor first. Even though it didn't seem like the right decision at the time, we all have guys who want to be here. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference, again, with Reinbacher. We're not trying to bring up, the past or dig up some graves here. But, again, that's maybe the difference with Michkov versus a Reinbacher. Just like Hudson, just like Demidov, we all have guys who want to be here. And that's the thing about, not just getting success, but how you really stay there is having the guys who want to be here, which I think it was so important to really get right. Which, it'll be just amazing to see if this does work out to really be that right solution here. The Stanley Cup will really be the only answer, though. I think inevitably, though, Josh, but there's a world where we could see it here. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but I think that really it's something special being built in Montreal.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. Cannot wait to see to bear fruit. This to finally be we can confidently say we're a perennial playoff team. And this year's going to reveal a lot. There's going to be some growing pains for sure. We saw some last year, but making the playoffs was crazy. It's going to be so fun this year to check it out. But yeah, tend to agree with the polls. But before we move on to there's an interesting part of some underrated Montreal Canadiens, because I know you guys are going to have some feelings on that. We want to read some more chats from the channel members, especially. Again, channel members and super chats do get priority for the messages that we read. So if we don't get to yours, very sorry, but that's just what we have to do. We get so many chats, and thank you all for sending the chats regardless. Kinley saying you guys are awesome. I'm going to stick around all season. You hype me up and your commentary is priceless. Well, that is incredibly kind. Say they love the Habs emoji too. Well, thank you so much. That seriously means a lot. I mean, that's what we try to do, Jesse. We're here every day to hype people up and bring the commentary. And Simo also saying he remembers the 100%. That was a legendary moment. And we even got Canadian dude in Oz here. But yeah, I mean, it's just some unreal stuff coming this season. And this energy level, it's just going to get higher as the season gets closer.
Oh, that's for sure. That's the one thing about us for sure. But I mean, it's really, we just got all the fodder that we need from this team right now, especially with them training in the offseason. They really don't need to be doing this, but they're just doing everything they can to just get us hyped up. Again, what we're going to get into in just some moments here, but even just the stuff of seeing guys like Hudson and guys like maybe Dobson making their first appearance. Anyway, Josh, it's just getting me really excited about the future of this team.
Cannot wait. But, we're going to get into some of the guys who've been skating, like you said, in a few minutes. But I want to start with this. And this was another interesting article from the Hockey Writers that inspired this segment of the video. So, again, as always, please go check out Ryan Spore's article that talks about some underrated Montreal Canadiens. We're not going to talk about a lot of them that he listed. You guys are to go find that yourself. But we had our opinions, and I want to hear your guys' thought right now. Chat. Who is your most underrated Montreal Canadien heading into this season? Like, who do you think is going to outperform expectations by the most in general? Because I think that's kind of how we should maybe go by underrated. Like, that most people, maybe general NHL fans or even your fellow Hab fans, are maybe sleeping on a little bit. And we have our choices. Jesse, you want to go first? You want me to go first? I think we got some interesting names coming up.
Yeah, well, I know we do share a little bit of a common mind on this one, Josh. It's funny how we were both, we asked right before the show who you're thinking. You were on board with me too on Guhle too, and I know you're a Guhle truther.
I am.
All the way. The reason I say that and that I agree with you on that is that he just does so much on the ice that doesn't get put on the score sheet. So if I'm thinking of the most underrated player on the Habs, Kaiden Guhle is the most unsung hero because just when he's injured, you can really see how it impacts the team in other ways, especially when you don't got a guy like Reinbacher yet. When Reinbacher comes in, getting that size that can play a little bit more of that defensive game, you don't feel the loss of a Guhle. You still do, but not as much, especially right now, though, in the interim. Like, this team feels the loss. So that's why it's going to be really key for Guhle this year. It's like, if he can really get like that full season of play in, is really like, that's my personal, I think like Guhle, that needs to be like his marker, like full 82, like 80, 81, not good enough. Really play the full season here going forward. But again, he just does so much for this team, such like a soldier. And I think going to be that much more important. And he's going to start getting a lot more praise, Josh, because the things that he starts to do is going to stand out more. But in terms of like the shot blocking with David Savard being gone, I just think that he benefits this team just in so many ways for winning hockey. Again, that you don't see all this time on the score sheets, but that's why he did get a deal with us. Some could say it's a fair contract that he did get, but, that's the reason why I think, he was well paid as he deserved to be.
Yeah, 100%. Like almost 2.5 block shots per game this past year. Like you said, that's going to go up. I think he's going to get increased responsibility on the PK this year, but like, just in terms of being solid, like fluid skater is almost an understatement. I mean, we've seen those clips where like he would catch up to very fast players skating backwards when he was behind them. Like, it's insane what he is able to do on the defensive end that I think the general NHL fan, like, doesn't really notice. Like, it's so easy to just gloss over Guhle's game, especially 18 points in 55 games. He has been hurt, but when healthy, his impact to this team, the little plays he makes, he never makes mistakes, almost never. The recovery on the defensive end is beyond impressive, and once those points totals start going up, maybe by playing with a guy like Noah Dobson, if they're paired together at all this year, it's just going to impress people a lot more, and he's making 5.5 mil. So even though Habs fans, I think, appreciate Kaiden Guhle for what he is, obviously, we know his impact, general NHL fans, I feel like just look Hudson Dobson, and they just kind of, Matheson, like, they think of Guhle as lower on the depth chart and of less importance than he actually is. But absolutely, I think that's a great take with Guhle. I mean, yeah, we're absolutely in agreement. I mean, why not? I mean, we both were like, this is the guy. But you know what? Not many people have been mentioning him in the chat. There's a lot of different names here. And, there are a few other guys that we discussed. This one is in the article, Brendan Gallagher, for sure. Like, it's so easy to just brush him off as washed up or whatever, making too much money. 21 goals last year, plus that veteran leadership is very important, so you can't really, just get rid of him in this conversation. Alex Newhook is another one that I've mentioned just before the show, but, because how do you say underappreciated? Like, I think he's going to be good, but he needs to have that kind of season that's 40 points before we really, like, hone in. I know he was definitely on pace a couple of years ago. He was on great pace, almost 50-point pace, but it was injury shortened. But the one other guy that I wanted to talk about is Josh Anderson, and it's a bit of a weird one because I know, like, we saw what he did in the playoffs, and we saw him reinvent his defensive game this year. 27 points really doesn't jump off the page at all. But I think that, again, when you look at this team, it's so easy just in your head to say, stick Josh Anderson on the fourth line, $5.5 million, it's a big contract. I think he's more important to this team's success in important games than people might give him credit for. Like, in the average regular season game, sure, he might have some stinkers, but I feel like when the going gets tough, there's almost no forward that I'd rather have on the ice late in a game where you need to grind out a win and be physical, and it's Josh Anderson. And I know, like, money, some people might consider money part of this, like what does make someone underrated if they're, you know, like the contract does skew things a bit, but I still think somehow like Josh Anderson is a little underrated just because of the amount of money he makes. And I think that's a fair criticism that he maybe doesn't play up to that. But Jesse, I think we saw in the playoffs, especially when he's locked in defensively, forechecking hard and being the guy that can go out there and punch someone else in the face, like he is a very valuable piece to this team. And I think sometimes that does get forgotten a bit.
And that's what I think really makes the Montreal Canadiens have one of the stronger bottom six really in the National Hockey League. And now they're having some guys like Demidov, Suzuki coming into their own. Now we got that top end to really complement it as well. But yeah, Josh Anderson just does so much to help this team win hockey games again. The forechecking being at the forefront of really getting those W's at crucial times. And he's just such an important part of really wrestling the momentum into his team's favor at critical times here. Big hits. He just does so much. So again, I think important and fair to note still with the price tag of being underrated for just all the little details of the game that he does right. I think an honorable mention needs to go out to also Alex Carrier in all this. We know the impact that he had last year as soon as he joined the Montreal Canadiens as part of that Justin Barron trade. He essentially just kind of like stabilized our decor there. It just was like a night and day difference. Looked frenetic at times in our own zone and bumbling and kind of doing some turnovers with the puck. As soon as we got Alex Carrier, just a lot more controlled breakouts, just starting to get on, play on our toes a little bit more, start playing a little bit more offense, just really affected this team in so many ways. I think the decision-making was really a big part of it going forward, and also just adding a little bit more of that defensive element, which was so important to this team, just considering how many offensively minded defensemen we have. It's still the reason why I think it's true that we still need to find that perfect balance a little bit more in a decor, just how much Carrier did benefit by bringing in that defensive element. I think we need to maybe lean into that a little bit more. Remain to be seen how that gets done. But I think that he's definitely a player to highlight in all of this as well. It was really a night and day difference, and a huge reason of why we made the playoffs was the addition of Carrier, let alone how good of a player he was in the playoffs, as shown by his underlying metrics as well.
Yeah, the goal there too is pretty cool. But like Alex Carrier, the metrics were great, but the eye test was just like the biggest thing. The second he started playing for us, we're like, oh wow, it feels smoother. And I actually worked with a guy who he played against a lot of future NHL players in junior hockey in Quebec, and he said the hardest guy he ever had, the best player he ever played against, he played against guys like Marchessault, but he said the best player he ever played against was Alex Carrier. You know why? He said, well, because the game just slowed down. It felt like Alex Carrier made everyone else do what he wanted them to do. And that's almost what you see when he's on the ice. How many times do we say he just doesn't make a mistake? The game flows. When Alex Carrier has the puck, the game flows the way he wants it to. Is he going to be a game breaker, go score you 15 goals in a season? No. Is he going to play make a bunch? Maybe not, but he's just solid, and that's very important to get those solid D minutes. And I want to go through the chat here and read some other names because we got a lot in here. Suzuki for 104-point season, Hudson 85. That's a bold take from Filip. I like that take too. But we got most underrated Newhook, underappreciated Newhook. We got Kirby Dach, who we're going to get into in a little bit. Jake Evans with that contract, he is just pure value. I mean, love my boy Jake Evans. That's a great shout, right?
I'd say him.
But here's the crazy thing. Like, we got Bolduc. We do have Guhle here from Phoenix LaFox. We got Simon Desjardins saying Bolduc, grit and goals. Guhle and Dobson will be fun. Most underrated Zach Bolduc. We got Dobson. We got Patrick Laine from Kinley Miguel, who also says Mike Matheson and Brendan Gallagher. You are on the same page as that article we've linked down below, my friend. But like, what the crazy... Dobesh? Dobesh is a great one too.
Love that. Yes, Dobesh.
Why not? Like, some people don't even have him as the backup, right? Like, the fact that there's like 10 different names you can name just shows us, Jesse, like we got so many high expectations this year. I'm so excited to see how these guys turn out.
Well, it was, and that's reflected in the article, right? Like, they listed 3 guys. We had some of our own takes, like the people that we would put right at the top of it, and there's some fair arguments to be made across the board here. It's and again, like I think that Caufield, even though he's good, he's a guy that we kind of forget about. Again, here on the channel, it's just we don't get to show enough love because we just kind of take it for granted what he does. Obviously, this conversation is more for the people not getting as much, limelight still. But yeah, absolutely, there's so much to really love here going forward, and you have to feel like that's just going to increase as the years go on because we have so many prospects that just somehow, some way are clicking, and like you can't take that for granted because it's actually like we're seeing right now, like the amount of prospects that's actually turning out and like playing time in the NHL, like Struble, guys like Engstrom. It's like much higher than the rate of what you normally see right now for prospects coming to the NHL. And the fact that we just have so many of them at the same time just, is absolutely unreal.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. And so many of these guys that you guys are naming are young players because, again, like the projection for what they're going to do next year is so crazy. Like, some people might have them as taking a big leap. And in that case, you'd probably have them as one of the more underrated. Like even, Bolduc, 19 goals last year. What's he going to do this year? It's so crazy. But we got to shout out Omni Supreme, who has been a long time supporter of the channel as well. Welcome to the Hat Trick tier, Omni Supreme. Seen you around a lot. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining the Hat Trick tier again. Get access to the Fantasy League when that starts up very soon. We got Caroline Chasson. Caroline's had some good takes in the streams lately too. Hello, Caroline. We got so much going. But you know what, Jesse? Why don't we're going to get to some interesting trade talk in a bit. Why don't we get to what's been happening at practice? I think this is just a nice little transition because we're talking about Hudson, we're talking about Dobson, and we're going to get to Kirby in a second too. But like seeing Hudson and Dobson work together has been really fun today. And I mean, Dobson finally being there. I'm sure Islanders fans are going to find some way to crap on this appearance because that just seems to be the way. Not all of them, I'm sorry. It's low hanging fruit. But like, regardless, a lot of Islanders fans have been awesome and they're already appreciating Heineman a lot. But to see Dobson and Hudson, like they're two of the guys out there, Jesse. I know it's not the most intuitive pairing because they're both so offensively gifted versus defensively, but do you see a world where this could work this season? I mean, the height difference is definitely there, and Dobson can be physical even if he's not a star defensively. I kind of like seeing them working out together.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're both very tremendously skilled players. Hudson's a guy that just reads the play so well too that I think he just adapts with so many other players. Again, I've mentioned having him as the nuclear option, these two together for late in games when you're looking for that tying goal, I think is an absolutely phenomenal look where you can still have two D guys but really put the pressure on offensively here. Like, we got to say that Dobson's looking phenomenal out there. Like, we know Hudson is so good with his skill, with kind of that deceptiveness, but it's hard not to appreciate, obviously, a little bit more of the basic attributes of just the skill, or rather the size that Dobson really brings to the table, but combined with just his mobility as well. Again, you're just seeing elements just from these little clips of how this guy's going to be a threat in the offensive zone. Just as soon as he gets the puck, the goalie has to be worried about what he's doing and how that then frees up other opportunities when we have so many shooting threats. As a result, for me, just the options are endless here, Josh, of what we can really do in terms of playmaking. Obviously, it's just going to make for very exciting hockey to watch. Expect a lot of tic-tac-toe hockey, I think, coming forward, just because we've got so many playmakers right now that are just so tremendously skilled offensively. Like, Dobson on his own is a game changer. Yeah. Like that type of ability that he has, he can just make a difference in the game. Hudson's a guy like that. Demidov's a guy like that. We know that obviously Nick Suzuki, Cole Caufield, and there's still some guys that are on the periphery that are very close. Slaf is close to being that type of guy. Bolduc is close to being that type of, like, can just completely take over the game type of guy as well. So just so amazing to see the different elements that we have right now.
Yeah, I really like the idea that, our decor is so diversified now. And look, I know we do have like a few like offense first guys like Matheson, like Hudson, like Dobson. But again, the metrics seem to show Dobson's defense has been improving year over year, yet to be seen what he'll do this year. But again, like Matheson in a reduced role could help, a little bit too. And then, like, I don't know, like maybe Matheson takes a more defensive game. I don't know who he's going to play with. Like, but having Carrier, having Dobson on the right side now, even having a guy like Xhekaj or Struble you can throw in whenever, having Guhle, like, I feel like you could throw out any combination and they'll find a way for it to work. Like, if you do go Hudson, Dobson, that's just going to be one of the craziest offensive D pairings in the league, right up there with Cale Makar and whoever's next to him, probably Devon Taves. But, like, regardless, whoever's with Cale Makar, Filip and Quinn Hughes, like, these are the elite offensive D pairings in the league. I'm just saying, like, a Noah Dobson with a Lane Hudson could make some sense, and it's a really interesting thing to explore. you know what? Let's why not put this up to a poll? Because you know what? Let's think about it. Is this going to be the most likely pairing this year? How do I want to word this? I mean, yeah. Do you think we'll see? Let's say opening night. Dobson, Hudson opening night. My take? No, I don't think we will. I think we will see probably Guhle, Dobson. I think this is more just these guys having a bit of fun together, like we've seen other guys. And I saw Omni Supreme there ask earlier, Jesse, if we saw Line and Demidov working together. Yeah, we have. We saw all of that, and that stuff has been amazing to see too. But part of that is just these guys getting familiar with each other, whether they'll play together on the power play or the second line. But just because guys are working together doesn't necessarily mean they'll be line mates. But again, like, it's always good, like we've been saying, to have these guys get familiarity and chemistry with each other, because in an ever-changing team with guys taking leaps, guys are going to get hurt, guys are going to be bouncing around the lineup. Being friends with and being able to work with anyone who you could be paired with in a deep pairing or an offensive trio is going to be really important.
For sure it is. And I myself also would not have them on the same pairing together. I would be very quick to put them together. I probably need, if I'm Martin St. Louis, I need a goal a little bit later on in the game. Mm-hmm. But I think, kind of pairing them together, I would want to have a little bit more of a balance, just for the same reason, not having Matheson and Hudson together, which then opens a whole other can of worms of where Matheson goes, which I don't think is completely resolved yet for this team. I think it's a little bit of an issue that's almost not being talked enough about right now, because Josh, we had a full deep pairing. Like, we had like 3 pairs today at practice together. Like, maybe some shots fired at Xhekaj and Matheson, because they look like the only two out of like that normal sort of sphere that you can kind of expect. Of course, Reinbacher being there, throwing a little bit of a curveball, but like Dobson, Hudson, Reinbacher, Guhle, Carrier, and Struble, all that practice today. You have to feel like that was for a reason, where we're having like 3 pairings where they could practice together with another person. Again, very interesting just what's happening with this decor. Because again, like, that's a pretty good decor. And in my opinion, Reinbacher is not that far away. So having a conversation about the roles of Matheson, about Struble, I think, and Engstrom really are very safe conversation we have. I think I'm not including Xhekaj in that. I think it's a little bit of a wild card, wild cat that we just need to keep around the team for X, Y, and Z reason. But at the same time, like, Josh, like, that for me is just like kind of like something on Kent Hughes' docket that, quite frankly, he knows he needs to take care of. There's just that's, for me, it's just saying that another deal. It's like something needs to happen sooner than later. I'm not saying like when you get a little bit of defense, just like ship it all right. But like, there's actually a point where we're like, it's actually too much depth right now. Like, we need to trade one person, and then even if somebody gets injured, then we're still having people come in without blocking development of guys that like Reinbacher, who, I mean, like, top end picks and deserve that, have shown that they're ready for roles very soon.
Yeah, like, and it's striking that balance is still one of these questions that like hasn't fully been answered, because we haven't really had a full season with so many guys that legit have that argument. Like, even this past year, we thought we might have, but like, Beck and Waugh were very clearly like almost ready, but not quite. And like Reinbacher hurt a bit, right? Engstrom making the waves, but not quite. And Fowler was in the NCAA, and Demidov was in Russia. Now all these guys are right there. Like, that's gonna add a whole. Like, yeah, Dobesh is the one that did take that leap, right? Almost a guy that I don't think any of us would have expected, right? So it's like, that's what, who knows what's gonna happen this year. But hey, before we get a bit deeper into this conversation, gotta shout out some super chats that we've been having such good conversation. We gotta go back. Caroline Chasson donating $4 to the chat. Caroline, thank you so much. More in 20 years. This is gonna be so fun. They're 2 of the same. Not sure who you're referring to there, but regardless, yeah, thank you so much for the support. Caroline showing up in these streams lately. I really, really appreciate it. So yeah, in defense, we need to clean a little. Agree with that, Jesse. And hey, that's why you kind of said earlier, like, it's not crazy for teams to maybe come knocking about one of these guys saying to Montreal, listen here, Kent, listen here. I can see it now. I can see these guys not being able to get the shot with you. I'll let you ship them over to us. Maybe that's what St. Louis did. But again, that's absolutely not out of the question.
No, it isn't. And just how Kent Hughes did a fair bit of tidy work for exactly what we need, I expect him to do the same. I just think, again, that's why the 2C, it's, again, not to kind of revisit that too soon, but it's really a thing where we have a need, but then we have this excess, and it's like, you could wait, but I think just with what we have right now, there's just so much ammo to really make something happen given what we have in the right circumstance. And it doesn't even need to be for that forever move. Josh, I'm so happy with like getting a guy for 2 years right now. I think waiting on Hage and just kind of that whole play, isn't for me the one. It's like, I'm not saying don't trade Hage, but like waiting 2 years for him where the Habs are at right now, for me is not the move for them as they're getting into their competitive window.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you want to keep this future pipeline rolling because 2 years from now, you have Hage and Fowler, mix them together, getting ready to make that leap too. And you never know with some other guys like an Alexander Zhuravsky, one of these quiet guys, maybe he'll be ready to take that leap in a couple of years, right? We're talking maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe Bogdan. He did extend his contract in the KHL, but maybe one day he'll be ready to come over. And so there's so many other little sneaky guys that could keep making the waves in a few years and keeping a lot of them around, kind of pushing that timeline down the road. And the guys who are ready now, trade them for assets now, right? That can absolutely work. The guys who are ready but can't make your team, okay, let's trade for someone who will be on the team now. But the guys who will be here in a few years, we just hold on to them so that you kind of have this endless cycle that just keeps going. So really, really cool stuff. I see Martin saying, feel like Matheson is going to go before the deadline with all honors and appreciation. Yeah, I mean, Matheson, I saw a tweet recently and saying how, like, you ask a lot of the Habs players who's like one of the biggest veteran presences they go to for advice and stuff in the locker room, and apparently I think it was Anthony Maltino or someone, and maybe Nicolas Cloutier, I can't remember, was saying like most people say Matheson, which is another little thing that we don't necessarily see, but like the on-ice thing is what it is, and objectively when you're building a team, you can only be so good in the locker room before you do become expendable from a team building perspective. So again, yet to be seen, but hey, we'll have to wait and see. And I like this too. Before we move on to Kirby, a little shout out from Omni Supreme to see if LJ Mooney takes Galley's spot in the lineup in 3 to 4 seasons. A lot of little similarities there, Jesse. LJ Mooney's another one of these guys. Every time his name comes up, I just feel like I gotta mention him.
And it's funny how it's just like this, like a seamless passing of the torch of like a gritty forward, you know, who's got like some offense in his game. Obviously, a little bit smaller than in LJ Mooney, but making up for it in all heart, and obviously a whole lot of courage to go with it as well. But again, like we forget about these guys, but it's like we got the guys that are like you need that are stable and reliable, and you just know surefire NHLers like the Becks and the Kapanens. But then you got some guys that look like they're going to be like a lot of fun, like potentially in Zarovskis and, you know, those type of guys coming forward here in the near future, which just, you know, really keeps things fun and exciting for the future of this team.
Oh, so fun. Everything about the future of this team is fun and exciting. Oh, unbelievable stuff. But, you know, speaking of fun and exciting, this is one of the biggest pieces of news from the day, and that's seeing this man back, and that's Kirby Dach. Look, we did see him earlier this summer, as we had mentioned before, even though some places said that we didn't see him. We did. But these videos are courtesy of Patu Info and Stu Cowan as well. Kirby looking smooth. I mean, I gotta say, I mean, some people who were there said he did look a little rusty in some drills, but if he didn't, I would have been shocked. What I'm more impressed with is the skating work here. Oh, the shot's nice right away. Scoring there, I think that's on Dobesh. But taking these corners, I know it's just a little soft, but to see him back on the ice finally, Jesse, I mean, like, our boy Kirby is one of these guys that was mentioned in terms of underrated Habs this year. And I don't know if he's underrated necessarily in terms of what his skill is and what he'll be able to do. I think it's more just like, can he stay healthy? Because last year was not his best. But when he is healthy with a full training camp ready to go, we saw what he was able to do, and, you know, not barred by any kind of rehab from injury. And I mean, he's a guy, again, 22 points in 57 games last year. I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes I feel like I watch these highlights from last year and I almost forget he played like 2/3 of the season. Like, it feels like that last bit when he got injured just almost erased that whole season from him for me, because it was just so devastating. It's like, seriously? But he did play 57 last year, and I fully anticipate a huge jump up from this 22 points, because I'm so excited for him and just so happy to see him back and looking good while he's out there too.
For sure. And again, we know that this is a guy that can score goals relatively easily when he's healthy. That's just the big thing. If this guy can really stay healthy here going forward, it's just going to make all the difference for this team here going forward. I just feel like he has the opportunity to really affect the team in some positive ways. Yeah. He knows what he really needs to do really to be successful here. But I think obviously the physical play is going to be a big part of it. But you know what? While I'm not kind of holding my breath, we do know that there is a very good player there. All the same, but yeah, there's really two things, Josh, that are going to be the difference this year for Kirby Dach. One thing is the health. Like, we know that's obvious, but the second, I'd argue, more important thing for Kirby Dach, like the key to the success for him this year, it's really going to be his fitness level.
Yeah.
And we've been hearing behind the scenes that he's been working a lot more on his cardio. And for me, if this is a guy that's just healthy, but then he knows what he's needed to work on, he's actually doing it, right? Like, mistakes of the past, okay, that's a certain type, like, you just need to kind of let that go. It's like, as an athlete, you need to be in the present. What can you do now? for me, I'm seeing huge indicators from Kirby Dach. We're seeing reports that he's realized what he's needed to work on that fitness side, and that he's getting some of the best testing that he's ever gotten as being a pro. So for me, it's like the skill is there, but if he's healthy, but then he's got the wheels to really allow his great hands and that skill to do what they can do, I think that's the makings of a very successful player. I also would put into Josh the factors of why I think that Dach can have a bounce back. It's the additions of Demidov and guys like Slafkovsky coming in their own. Like, even though you're teammates, when you're an athlete, it's just normal to have like natural competition. These guys are used to it their whole life of like, they're friends, people on the team, but they're also competing against them very specifically for spots. And a guy like Slav, like, you can't help if you're Kirby Dach around the same size, drafted highly. Like, you feel a little bit of kind of fellowship there. Like, this isn't so far off from what I could be. Like, maybe there's a world where I'm the guy playing on this first line here going forward. I think Slav kind of slowly but surely taking that elevation and kind of showing that he's ready to take that next big leap, I think could be an impetus for Kirby Dach to follow suit. Again, knowing what he needs to be successful. Same thing as Slav, play physically. You know, get in the gym on your own time, make sure you got your wind. And he's going to play really successful hockey. And also guys like Demidov. Yeah. I think just coming into the top 6, same thing, high draft pick, you know, actually drafted a little bit lower than Dach. You always feel like when that's coming in, like, this could be me. If this guy can do it, I can too, right? And that's a very real thing that I don't think gets talked enough about sports, of how that it elevates your game, especially for like more of the high-end guys who have that really big ceiling. Those are going to be the guys that are like the most competitive when they see another guy come in that could be primed to take that next leap up. Now, is that a given? No, but we know that Kirby Dach absolutely has the skill set to make that happen. That's what's exciting. Like, for me, just seeing him out on the ice, like, we're remembered of all the things that he does successfully, carrying the puck really well, can be hard to take the puck away from. He can be very poised. He makes good decisions with it. And again, adding some size to this team we still need, still tremendously important. So is there a world where this kind of works out? Maybe some people are saying like the one mistake maybe that Kent Hughes is make. It's still like the jury's not over in that. Like, Kent Hughes can still get his W here, but that's really going to be determined on Kirby Dach for the factors just mentioned, I think are going to be key to this year.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, look, we got a poll running right now. Will Kirby Dach get 50 points this year? And I think that's a very interesting benchmark, because I think if we agree that he's fully healthy this year, it's absolutely possible, but he wasn't even on pace last year. So it's a very interesting thing, but you're absolutely right, Jesse. Like, I mean, I'm seeing people now bring up Frank Mesar, who just got that big extension from Chicago. Of course, Chicago picked him with the pick that we gave them in the Kirby Dach trade, kind of, right? It was, anyway, we know how that trade went down. And so, you know, there's going to be that comparison that we're seeing. You're absolutely right. Guys like Slav, guys leaping Kirby Dach in terms of development, despite Kirby Dach being, well, how old is he now? Almost 25 years old, right? So it's like he's had a bit of stunted development as well, because he just hasn't been able to be on the ice. So it's yet to be seen what goes on, but you're absolutely right. Like, this guy is going to look at the team and be like, I'm ready to take that leap. And he's been doing everything. And I think you're bang on with physical fitness. The dude's been working his butt off. By all accounts, Jeff Gorton saying, hey, yeah, like, I mean, he's the strongest he's ever been. And that strength was a big key to his game and what made him successful, especially when he was playing with Suzuki and Caufield just a few years ago. He was driving the net so hard and just creating opportunities for them. Like, man, that Kirby Dach is still there. Like, it's not like that's gone. But again, the big if is, can he stay healthy? And, you know, sometimes I'm a believer of this. Maybe it's controversial. Sometimes I believe the injury-prone label on players, it can absolutely be true for a lot of players. And so far, it's kind of hard to deny for Dach. 2 separate knee injuries, plus that broken wrist, whatever. But, like, when you kind of look at 2 freak knee injuries and completely shattering his wrist on a freak play, I kind of just wonder, like, how injury prone is that? I know injuring it once can make him more prone to do it again, but, like, I don't know. I just feel irrationally confident that he's going to have a full season. And, you know, even if it's not 82, even if it's like he comes back 5-10 games into the season and plays 85% of the games from there on out, that's fine. You don't need to play an 82 game season for me to consider you healthy. You play 65 and 70 and with some strategic rest, hey, I think that's fine. But yeah, we're gonna end the poll there now and see what the results are for 50 points, yes or no. And the fans, why does it have to not add to 100? Anyway, 72 votes, Jesse. 37 of the votes said yes, he'll get 50 points. 35 said no. Nearly 50-50. And that's how fitting is that? 50-50 on the 50 point question. And, you know, 50 points. Do you think that's realistic, Jesse? I think it's realistic, but it's so hard to predict. Again, it's like, if he's fully healthy, I actually genuinely do, just because of the increased quality of the line mates we'll see this year.
Yeah, I don't think that he'll hit 50 this year.
Fair enough.
But I think that if he's healthy, there's a world where he can get close to it, but still affecting this team. Like if he can get a 20 goals, 25 type assist season, 20 assists type of season, I think that's helping the team in a lot of ways because we're still holding on to the hope, Josh, of like what a healthy Kirby Dach could do for this team. Because like we know it and we've seen it. Like he can be really good. He can help this team a lot. And that's the thing. It's like there's just so much talent right now that just isn't being actualized with him. But if it can, it's really a game breaker for this team going forward. Again, I just see all the positive things for him. I love hearing about the weight training because, again, it's showing indicators he's leaning into exactly what he needs to be successful. We've even heard the same from Slaf that he's put on a little bit of upper body strength, which I actually like because I think he took off a little bit too much upper body strength last year. And then he started realizing, okay, I need to play the physical game to be successful. That's what you need. Makes very much sense. You're going to want to put on some upper body strength in that situation. So I think he's doing exactly what he needs to do. They're getting good feedback from development, from different coaches. It's a little bit of an ongoing process. See what works. You're testing some different things out. I think they've really honed in on it. And for me, that alone can bear some really big fruit.
It's funny. I giggled a second there because he said build up that upper body strength, and all I could picture was Slaf dropping the mitts twice last year, right? And just like you got to think Arber's like, listen, man, like bulk yourself up so you can hit him harder. Like Slaf, he's won a couple fights, but maybe not his strength. No, I don't know if that's the reason for it, but you're absolutely right. Being able to shove guys around, especially for a guy like Slaf who plays at the net front so much in the playoff series, you're stronger in your upper body. You're moving the other team around while you're in front of their goalie. That's going to be very valuable. So really, really good stuff. I love that these guys are training so well. Everything seems to be going great with these guys. But we got a couple super chats to get into before getting into the trade talk that we promised you. Kinley saying again to me, $3 donation. Thank you so much, Kinley. You've been such a great supporter of this stream. Really appreciate you. Demidov will be fun to watch if he stays healthy. And I don't have any qualms about Demidov's health, Jesse. I mean, demigod, like he's fondly referred to on this channel. Look at that physique. It's totally a real picture, by the way. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be healthy. But yeah, I mean, I guess you got to put that caveat on everyone. But Ivan Demidov, like, I think he's going to be fun from the first day. Like, there's a reason Habs ticket prices have gone up so much this year. And I think so many people are hyped to see him. And again, like, just even NHL.com having their fantasy projection is 61 points is insane. So, I mean, bang on. Like, he's a guy that we weren't even really focusing on this stream, but a guy that's going to be probably the star of this channel for a long time coming.
For sure. And it's a great point about Demidov in that there's a lot that you can do behind the scenes to really help in terms of stopping yourself from potential injuries. Of course, there is freak accidents for sure. But just Demidov, we know his work ethic is unparalleled in terms of what he does, not just on the ice, but in the gym as well. So those are some big things that he's doing to obviously keep himself in good shape. Obviously just loves being around the game so much, which just kind of factors in that willingness to just be there, I think is an important factor. Of course, having a great example of Nick Suzuki, though, right? I think for the rest of this team on that Iron Man streak right now, I don't know how many seasons it's been right now. It's basically playing every game right now. He's on a tremendous run right now. I think setting a good example because we got a lot of guys on this team that, if they're healthy, they're going to have some huge impacts on this team. But we've done a great job of improving the health. I think that's been a kind of a job as the organization as a whole, and they have done a tremendous job of having less man games lost to injury, and we're just going to look to continue that moving forward here.
Absolutely, 100%. And again, hey, that new medical staff we hired a couple of years ago, that's looking really good so far. Again, the only injuries have been kind of freak, like Guhle's laceration and Dach. Like, other than that, pretty good. The Ironman, Suzuki, full season from Slaf, full season from Caufield. Remember when we looked at the stats of like how many players played a full season 2 years ago versus this past year? Oh man,
it's rough.
That was rough, yeah. But we got another donation here from Patrick Burke, $6.99. Thank you so much, Patrick. Saying great job, boys. Love listening from Cape Breton. Keep up the good work. #demigod. #demigod. Cape Breton. Love my Cape Bretoners. You're honorary Islanders. You are Islanders. You Cape Breton Islanders. We're just different types of Islanders here in Newfoundland. But hey, Pat Burke, name of also, I think one of, if not the only Irish NBA player in history. Pat Burke. Cool name. Love it. Again, fans from all over Canada, all over the world, Jesse, this is what we absolutely love. So thank you so much to Patrick. I love when we see Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, the rest of the Maritime and Atlantic Canadian provinces, people from all over our beautiful country and planet.
Oh, absolutely, we do. You know, we have family from the East Coast to West Coast. Obviously, such a beautiful part of the country, and great way for us to get to know each other, and also to get to shout out where we're from. I love that in the chat too. You know, to kind of get to shine a light. We're proud of where we come from, this beautiful country, and really nice to get to share that as well.
Absolutely, Cape Breton was one of the best parts of my drive from Quebec all the way back here to St. John's. It's just so beautiful, and taking the new ferry as well, which is really nice. And we got another donation here from Pat Hockey. Oh, I thank you guys for using our videos. Very cool podcast. Keep up the good work. I think this is Patu Info on Twitter. Their profile is linked in the description here of this stream. Please go check it out. They are one of the best follows right now on Twitter because they're out there getting all these videos in Brossard. And so just, if you want to say thank you for some of these videos, give a thank you to Patu Info. And not all these, this one here is from RDS, but this video here of Kirby, that's courtesy of them. So thank you for stopping by. I absolutely love it. And yeah, absolutely love to shout out when we see other great Habs content out there. So go give them a follow if you haven't already. One of the best spots out there. Cool that you stopped by, eh, Jesse? That's cool. I love seeing all these Habs fans come together.
And it's a community, right, at the end of the day. And that's what's so cool, just how it really all interconnects here going forward. And I think that that's what just makes the Habs team really the best team in the NHL. It's, again, the fans, the community we have of people that are coming every single day to record this footage here, again, because we know we need it. And it really matters. And seeing what these young players are doing and how they're practicing and their kind of their relationship as players evolving. We're going to come back to this in years saying, remember that first time we saw Dobson and Hudson out on the ice together, just kind of shooting around. Look at what they're doing now. So it's so amazing just to document all these amazing moments.
Yeah, and thank you for doing that from two people who can't make it to that practice facility. It's like, it is so cool to have that out there. And again, followed you so quick. I'm sure you saw it, but yeah, really, really appreciate it. Look, people in the chat are sending the love. Again, link is in the description to their profile, x.com/patuinfo. Go check it out. Final thing today, though, Jesse, just wanted to get to this quick before we end this off. This stream's gone a while, but I want to quickly talk about another name that's been circulating quite a lot, actually. In past weeks, I know it was appearing on some podcast. There was an article from the Hockey Writers by Michael DeRosa originally suggesting Montreal could go after a guy like Jared McCann because the left shot guy, he's played center in his career, not full-time, mostly a winger. Former 40 goal scorer. Another article came out today highlighting how this could actually be very beneficial for Montreal as his name is circulating more on social media. Wanted to bring this to the live stream because he is a name that it's like we've raised before, but I want to hear the thoughts from the chat, and we're gonna toss a little poll up here right now.
Yeah.
Would you go for, and I know we got another one coming in a minute, Jesse. I think we'll get to that one.
But this is a good one though. First, I like this one.
Would you go for it? Just straight up, would you go for it? Like, objectively, $5 million a year, 2 years left, former 40 goal scorer. We know what he brings.
Yes or no?
Yeah, yes or no. Simple question. Jesse, are you
Before season begins.
Are you a yes or no? Quick.
Oh man, this is a tough one. Honestly, we know we want that perfect 2C, and we're working on where Byfield, who maybe hasn't surpassed expectations with the Kings, that you could kind of wrestle him away and get a little bit more of like maybe that potential to grow with the core. Here, we know the ideal would be that a younger 2C that could grow with this team. But Josh, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say it's tough because I love this Habs team so much and I want the right fit. And that's why I'm going to say yes, because I want them to take this next step with a very competitive Atlantic division. I don't think it's being hasty. I think it's being healthy in terms of wanting to win and want results at the end of the day, because you have this opportunity right now with this great young core, this Montreal Canadiens, where they can do some great things. But I think with that big hole in the lineup at the 2C, I just think would be a shame to go so far and then leave it just the rest of the way when you got a guy at 2 years. It leaves for Xhekaj to come in perfectly, is not very expensive. It's a guy that can score goals, and Demidov, if he's shown us one thing, it's that he can play make, like the sun makes sunlight. This is going to be a guy that's going to allow Jared McCann to score goals as well. And while helping others, getting the most out of Demidov, starting him off strong in the NHL, furthering Demidov's case to get a Calder, anything that's helping those different factors come together, Josh. I would get behind that. What are you saying here?
Yeah. You know what? I think you pretty much took most of the words out of my mouth. And the thing with Jared McCann is that it's such low risk, and that's the part that I like the most about this. 2 years, $5 million per year. Now, again, this can't really be done until Price's contract is moved, blah, 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 because we need to create some cap space because we'd be over the cap, even in the off-season limits. But right now, like $5 million for 2 years, it's such a low commitment. And I think, again, not that people forget this, but you could trade him after a year. Like he's a guy that's going to be in demand in that second year of that deal. If he gets anywhere near the 61 points he got last year, if he touches that 25-30 goal mark, like we know he can, if he can be decent on the faceoff dot, like, you know, he's career around 44-45%, I think, which is not amazing, but it's better than like Newhook and Dach, for example. It's not horrible. It's not great, but not horrible. But like if he can touch those numbers this upcoming season, you could trade him before the last year of his deal, or you could trade him in near the deadline of that next year, half retained. You're going to get a haul for a guy like Jared McCann, who's only going to be 31 in 2 years' time. Like, he's not even going to be 31 by the time the trade deadline hits in 2 years. And so it's like, you know, there's so many options with it. It's not like you're locking him in. He has to be your 2C for the next 2 years. You could move him around the lineup. He can play wing, depending if you maybe find another good trade. You know, and there's other options with him. And at that contract, I say, why not? It actually fits very well. Once Price's contract is moved, how much cap space will we have? About $5 million. So you can move someone out. You can bring him in almost without moving anyone out if they're interested in prospects. The question is, what's Seattle going to want? Because they're in an interesting position. They were not very good this past year. They're looking up for sure. But they got some rough contracts too. Like they got that Chandler Stevenson deal is kind of rough. Maybe they're looking at getting some young guys. We have that kind of talent. Or maybe if they want NHL level talent, I don't know if it's on the defensive end. We've got a guy like Matheson, but I'm on board with you, Jesse. And like, I just see it as like, if Seattle's willing to give him up for a reasonable price, you go for it. But by no means am I going to go out and hunt him down, I think, because he's not the perfect solution. But if there's ever a world that we could get him, like, I think you're right. It's like, it just fits the timeline to me.
For sure. And why I also like this potential trade scenario is it's a guy that we could get, you feel, without having to trade either the very coveted, you know where I'm going with this, Michael Hage or David Reinbacher, which again, it's just the definition of having your cake and eat it too. When we could get rid of maybe some extra prospects we have with some roster players, again, I'm looking at the defense there as potentially looking something the other way of having some value. I think that's a big part of this here going forward, while still trading some high-end prospects, while not having to touch a guy, you know, like Hage or Reinbacher. I just think would be absolutely phenomenal. And even if we have to pair a couple of those prospects with a pick, roster player at the right positions, I think would be a fair pay for McCann.
Absolutely. And hey, you know what, Jesse? Let's end this off with another interesting question, because I know we were discussing this question before. And before we put this poll up here, I just gotta think. As soon as you see this poll, just answer. Don't think. Try not to take time to think. Go based off gut, because I think that's what a lot of the time, if the gut check doesn't pass, hey, you know, the feeling maybe isn't as good as you'd like. And this is going to be our final little thing here. But say we don't get McCann, right? There's another name that we've been floating out there. If we don't get a 2C solution, I'm going to make this poll. Actually, we're going to hide it while we make it, because I think this is going to be an interesting one. Won't you... I can't say it because I need people to just gut react it. I know it's silent. Oh, awkward silence. Whatever. No, it's not awkward, because guess what? Nothing is awkward here. It's strategic silence. That's what we call it. Ready? 3, 2, 1, answer. Actually, that probably, the countdown didn't really work because you guys are probably seeing this before. Doesn't matter. Pavel Zacha. He's another guy. Don't have his stats. Jesse, like, at the end of the day, if we don't get a 2C, if we don't get McCann, this is another guy that fits that kind of bill of shorter term contract. What do you think? Like, I feel like it's a similar profile to McCann, and he's been available. He's a bit taller. What do you think? I think he's also another guy for the similar reasons for McCann. I would say, why not?
Yeah, and you're not wrong for saying that. I'd probably prefer McCann a little bit more, just because I know we're getting a little bit more of that offensive output, which when we know Suzuki also plays that defensive game, which would be so preferred. You have to feel like if we're able to get Zacha just with so much depth that the Kraken have, their fortunate circumstances, they'd probably be open to looking at a trade to kind of shake some things up. Again, like, I love a guy like Joshua Watt, but I was joking with you, Josh. Like, we could see him in a Kraken jersey somehow, being one of those prospects going the other way, and it sucks because I like him a lot. I've been saying it for years on the channel. I really want him to turn out still, but I will say yes to Zacha. The caveat in all this is that I believe that Kent Hughes can still find a situation here. And, we're going to be doing our due diligence on Habs Digest too. We're going to have to put on, some our research hats and really hear, because there's still some players that, again, we're not suspecting, but that could be some good additions here. And I think Yeah, exactly. As we're coming in to that beginning of the season, I think things are going to ramp up just that much more. Jeff Gordon is tremendously competitive. I think he's just got a whiff of what this team is capable of, and he's just going to be raring to go to add to it, which is, I think, why it's really important. We're going to be looking at some other options here going forward. We know McTavish is not written off yet somehow, some way going forward here, but Kent Hughes, he's going to cook one way or another.
Oh, baby. Oh, I was just waiting for the moment to use this. Haven't used it in a minute. Oh, I'm so glad you said that word. Oh, man, I'm ready to see what happens with cooking. And I see some people saying, look, Xhekaj would probably cost too much, maybe more than McCann, because he's bigger and he's a lot better on the faceoff dot. Mid-50s as opposed to mid-40s from McCann. So it's like there's different aspects to it, but McCann fits the bill in terms of scoring. But lots of great comments there, but maybe the best one, Simone Desjardins with the $2.79 donation. Thank you, Simone, as always. Crosby or bust. And that might be it. That might be another discussion for another day. Thank you so much, Jesse. I think that'll have to do it. What a stream today. The support's been amazing. 300 people in here even still now. Cannot thank you guys enough. This has been a whirlwind of a day. So many great things, so many great takes from the fans. Cannot wait for the next live stream, Jesse. This is just too much fun.
Yeah, and thank you guys so much. We just really do want to say that we appreciate you guys. We recognize how awesome you guys are, what great takes you have. We really appreciate just this awesome community that we have, and we have you guys to thank for it. So we're really appreciative.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. The fans make it. The fans make it so fun to do. And hey, while you're here, if you don't mind, we're 38 likes away from 150. That'd be crazy if we could hit it with 300 people in here. But just see if you've clicked like already. And hey, while you're down there, see if you've hit subscribe. If you enjoyed this, maybe it's your first time. Just see if you're subscribed, because we have content literally every single day, all off season long, all season long, every single game, videos coming out about it, all the greatest stuff every day. And if you haven't hit that button yet, I think we've earned it at this point if you made it this far in, but that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. Hey, if you enjoyed, maybe we'll see you back next Monday for one of our live streams too. Thank you so much for all the support. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.